James Moore is a former industry minister in Stephen Harper's government and helped advise the Trudeau government on NAFTA negotiations during Trump's first presidency. So, James, listen, 25%, that's a huge number. What's your sense of what this will do to Canada's economy as a whole?
The immediate reaction of the markets will be negative. The dollar will go down. It'll have a dark cloud over the investment climate in Canada between now and January 20th. So there's a lot of work to be done. But I don't think Canada should panic. In 35 U.S. states, their greatest and largest customer is Canada. So the two-way trading relationship between both countries is well known and is profitable for both sides of the border. Donald Trump's incoming ambassador designate Hoekstra, is a former politician from Michigan who understands very well the accretive benefit that the Canada-U.S. relationship has had for America and for Canada. So between now and January 20th, when President Trump is installed as president of the United States or inaugurated, I think there's a lot of work to be done to reanimate the conversation to make sure that Americans and Canadians both understand the vital nature of this relationship.
I think about oil exports, car exports to the U.S. Those are huge for this country. What industries are you thinking about the most here?
Well, certainly oil and gas in Alberta will be hit extraordinarily hard. The auto sector in the province of Ontario would be hit very hard. So why you see Premier Smith and Premier Ford, Premier Legault in Quebec all coming out with strong statements about the importance of Canadian solidarity in the face of this threat to the Canadian economy. But, you know, Donald Trump promised to do this. You know, he said 10%. Now he's saying 25. You know, we'll see ultimately where the number may land on. But President Trump needs to be taken seriously, and he needs to be taken literally about the threat that he's put on the table. But he also gave us a little bit of a silver lining about a way out of this mess. You know, in his tweet or his public pronouncement so far, you know, he mentioned clear dissatisfaction with the issue of immigration, border security, fentanyl issues. And you know what? It's not just Donald Trump that's not satisfied with that. Canadians aren't satisfied with that. We see a shift in the polling numbers across the country that Canadians want the Canadian government to take our border security, our immigration challenges, and the issues of fentanyl and drug overdoses in our cities more seriously than we have in the past. So if we can find a way, to have alignment on some of these policies with the United States, for example, if the United States wants to get very aggressive on the issue of fentanyl with both Mexico and in Canada, there's a way in which we can have an accretive benefit, for example, where we can say Canadians have real problems with guns flowing north from the United States into Canada. And maybe there's something that we can do when it comes to border security, border infrastructure, information sharing, and having a solidarity of security between Canada and the United States that would be beneficial for both countries. So, you know, President Trump, he was clear that he said he was going to do this. He's given us a bit of a pathway about how to get out of this thematically. And I think a lot of spade work needs to be done between now and January 20th to find clear, precise alignment on what he would see as beneficial to both countries. And it's up for Canada to decide how we want to move forward.
So there's the matter, James, of getting relief. But is there also any kind of retaliatory move that could make a difference? Or would that just be like a bad idea right now?
Well, I mean, I think privately and quietly, the government of Canada should be considering all options on the table. But, in the last go round during the USMCA negotiations, we had tariffs on Kentucky bourbon. We had on Heinz ketchup because Pennsylvania, which is where the Heinz Corporation is headquartered, was a swing state. Donald Trump isn't running for re-election. He's running for his place in American history. And he was very clear for a very long time that border security and immigration are his dominant issues of concern. So countervailing tariffs and duties for a president who's not running for re-election might have some impact on members of Congress, some governors, some senators who are looking at the midterms in 2026. But I think the relationship between President Trump is the key and the fundamental one. And I don't think that Canadians should be scared. And I think we should look for ways to find, again, alignment on a lot of these policy issues where we can have accretive benefit. Canadians are also not satisfied with the status quo. We want change as well. And I think change can be found in a way that can be negotiated that would be satisfactory to President Trump, more importantly, satisfactory to Canadians, and then even more importantly, protect this Canada-U.S. relationship that has been so important for our prosperity and security.
Can we talk timing for a second? What's your take on how he announced this, 2 months before he takes office?
I mean, hard to know. I mean, President Trump has not been, followed the traditional playbook about when you do an announcement. Traditionally in politics, you make an announcement in the morning, you try to drive a theme of the day and hit all the news cycles and hit the evening news and get the, newspapers and all that. President Trump makes announcements when he feels like it, and he's been clear about this. As I said, there's Ambassador Designate Hoekstra coming from the United States that he announced a few days ago as well. Then there's this announcement as well. But I think he's softening the ground, and he's giving us more than 50 days, 50 days to collect our thoughts, organize, and engage with him after January 20th, and even before January 20th, with some solutions that would be seen by him and his administration as being beneficial to American security and American prosperity. And again, there are areas of alignment that can work, that can mitigate the cost of this. In the short term, I think a lot of people are going to panic. In the long term, it's the responsibility of the government of Canada to think these things through and engage responsibly.
Okay, what I heard from you there, don't panic, but act. If you were giving advice right now to the government, don't panic, but act.
Don't react, respond, and respond after having done your homework, consulted broadly, and with a clear North Star that the Canada-U.S. relationship is precious, beneficial to both countries, beneficial to our security and our economies.
All right, former Industry Minister James Moore. Thank you, James.
Thank you.